In this video, we're going to review the configurability of serve expired queries from cache at the service point for DNS Edge. Now, a DNS Edge service point is set as the first hop in a client's network journey, and they're designed to act like a control tower, guiding queries to the correct runway and destination gate while caching the results. By being both the first hop and a caching layer, DNS Edge provides a generalized resiliency in cases of short-lived downstream server issues. Building on this caching behavior helps strengthen the resiliency that we are already providing to our client's network. Now, a query's lifespan in the cache of an edge service point is dictated by two factors. First is the TTL, or time to live, that's assigned to the query by its original authoritative server, as well as then how long will the service point retain that query in its cache and make it available to be served. With our November 2020 service point update, service point default behavior was tuned to retain and serve a query from its cache for an additional hour beyond its stated TTL. So in order to expand on this capability, we have added a configuration to the namespace level of DNS Edge. Now, namespace configurations have already provided settings such as the ability to forward based on domains, the ability to forward based on the source IP making the query. And now that configurability has been expanded so that you can set the time-based rules and for the service point and how long it will be serving a cached response. Now, you will note we have a section under namespace configurations that allow administrators to set how service points utilize the namespace in their rule repository, and thus how they will treat expired queries in their cache. We have added three options. The default behavior stated previously is to retain expired queries for 1 hour after the TTL has expired. To this, clients can also choose to turn this feature off entirely or to serve cached responses for 24 hours after the TTL has expired. In cases of branch installations that require this type of resiliency, serving expired queries from cache for a full day after expiry can help ensure as seamless an experience as possible. Now, how does this feature provide that resilience? If a downstream server stops responding to client queries, instead of clients receiving serve fail responses, they will continue to receive a valid response via the service point's cache, of course, based on a previously successful query having been made and residing in its cache. But now that query will reside in the cache for currently 1 hour after the last successful query was made. For a network administrator, this resilience helps reduce the impact of an outage while they work towards resolving the situation. So in this case, we see that server 1 has gone down, but again, instead of receiving a serve fail response, if a cache response is available at the service point, the client will receive this response. Now, as we know, the amount of time when a server is unavailable isn't always a predictable value. So we're allowing administrators to lengthen the time to serve the expired queries from cache as a means to further the resiliency on the network. And so in the meantime, the service point will attempt to complete the query, the original query, in order to gain a refreshed response that it will then store in its cache. All of this means that administrators can now configure service points in such a way that it really helps strengthen the end user experience. Now, let's see what that looks like when we set it up. We're going to go ahead and at the top left-hand corner of the screen, click on the hamburger menu button to review the options that are available in this menu. And we're going to start this order of operations by looking at the sites that are available from our customer instance. Now, in this case, we want to change the namespace rules under this particular site, a client site. So we're going to open that site panel, and we'll see that this is the namespace that's being utilized. There may be multiple namespaces, but in this case, for the sake of simplicity, we have the single namespace. So I'll go ahead and click on that namespace, and I'll see all of the rules and settings as they are right now. You'll notice here that under serve expired queries from cache, we have the default behavior of it being enabled for up to 1 hour. I'm going to go ahead and click on edit, And now you'll see that under the serve expired queries from cache section, we have the three options that we talked about previously. So here we have the ability to turn this feature off altogether, which means that once a query in the cache has its TTL expired, that it will be expunged and no longer be served. Then we have the default behavior, which is serving that expired query from the cache for a period of up to 1 hour after the time of expiry. And then the last option, which is serving it for up to 24 hours or 24 hours from the time of expiry of the TTL. So we'll go ahead and set it there, and we'll click Save. Once this setting is saved, these service points that for that particular client site that are utilizing this namespace will now begin to serve queries that are contained within its cache for up to 24 hours after the expiry of that query's TTL. Very, very simple setting to put forward, but a very, very effective manner in order to strengthen the resiliency of your network.